ladies and gents, theys and theirs. This is Tara Shapansky from the Polish American Brotherhood and Adam Francisco from Be Free My Sheeple. And you're listening to the T&A Show, the Tara and Adam Show.
Oh, that's
well,
funny.
Hey there, Adam. when I see our new intro, I'm always just like,
The voice acting is so on point. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pursue a career as a voiceover actress. We'll see. Well, hey there, boys and girls, ladies and gents, theys and theirs.
So right now we're waiting for Billy Prempeh. Is that right? How do you say his last name?
Yeah, you got it right.
How do you say it?
Billy Prempeh.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
Some guy named Bill.
Some guy named. We're waiting for Billy to come on, but while we're waiting, I figured we could just go on Instagram and play some fun links for our audience that we've seen in the news lately. And the one I sent you is phenomenal. We got to watch that.
Gotcha.
No, let me give you some background. Well, I don't even need to give you background, but basically, Trump said that Antifa is known for having soup at events that they use to throw at police because a brick is too heavy to throw, but soup really puts some power into it. And so what happens is when Antifa gets caught with the soup, they just say that they're carrying soup for their family. So let's give it.
Oh, I did. Actually, I remember I did see this one. Let me see if it starts.
It's so fun. I just died when I watched. Put the audio on. Oh man.
All right, so we're pulling up. This is Barely Informed with the Lads Insta, right?
Yeah, Barely Informed. Yeah. So follow him.
Oh yeah.
Content. I hope it works. Make sure the sound's on.
Can you hear it?
Not yet, but it's not playing either. It's like frozen.
It might be frozen.
It's okay, man.
You know what? You know what? I loaded the wrong screen. One moment. There we go.
All right, here we go.
All right, we're gonna let this play through because since it's on Instagram, I can't like maneuver it or whatever.
Oh, okay. What about the audio?
Oh, I have the audio. I'm gonna let it play through, and then when it restarts, oh, here we go.
It's so funny. Oh my God. The whole thing is hilarious. There's our boy. And then he winks at the camera when he's like, it's a can of soup for my family. You can't get the audio on. It's not working.
Is the audio not working out? Can you guys hear the audio?
No.
Let me try reloading. Why do we always have sound issues?
Because we're a brand new YouTube podcast channel. These kind of things happen.
All right, let's try this again.
A year from now, how amazing our channel is going to be a year from now. We'll see what happens, So we got some comments coming in. Devon McKenzie says that you look gorgeous and I look amazing. Thank you so much, Devon. We appreciate that. I got my custom shirt on, which says "Made in a Lab," because I believe that's where it came from. And we're going to try not to use the word anymore on the channel, guys. We're not going to use the C word anymore. So we're going to come up with some kind of code name like Salty Cracker did before his channel got nuked. Yeah, he's not on YouTube anymore, right? Salty Cracker?
That's why he's been quiet.
Gone. Yeah, he's only on DLive and like those crypto channels.
Coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup.
Yeah. Well, I've been here all 4 nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family, and we're just watching all of this unfold. It's very unfortunate.
You're not planning on using that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family.
Literally for your family.
And then when they get caught, they say, "Oh, this is soup for my family." They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup.
Yeah. Well, I've been here.
You gotta
all
catch
4
that wink
nights.
one more time,
I'm just
guys.
standing here today with soup for my family, and we're just, watching all of this unfold. It's very unfortunate.
Bye.
You're not
Super.
planning
Oh my
on using
God.
that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family.
Literally for your family.
And then when they get caught,
You're not planning on using that against the police, are you? No. Like I said, it's soup for my family.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then
No,
another.
it's true. They actually advertise their, like, whenever they have gatherings, they advertise canned food collection.
Do they really?
Yeah, 100%. Like the Antifa rally that I went to, my infamous experience one back in January, I saw the flyers for it, and they were advertising collecting canned foods.
That's ridiculous.
I guess I lucked out that they didn't throw that one at my head.
That's like, they can do that. I mean, a can of soup is a good weapon. If you
It
hit
is.
somebody,
It's not illegal.
that can knock somebody out easily. Pull that link up from Andrew Yang.
Which one?
I just sent it in Messenger. It's his.
I got
it's
it.
one of his Facebook statuses, and it just goes to show you the level of propaganda that these politicians on the left, and I'm sure some on the right too, but in this exact case here, in this example, they just flat out lie about the facts, just straight up lying. I mean, you could watch the video of the so let's pull it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if it pulls up his status.
All right, so
Yeah.
we're on Andrew Yang's Facebook right now.
And
What are we looking for?
Actually, I do respect Andrew Yang. I do like him.
Oh,
But when
where it says he was unarmed.
that's exactly pull it up, Mick. Can you zoom in for the audience? But he's literally perpetuating a false narrative, like the cops in Chicago just randomly shot a 13-year-old that was unarmed. That's not true. Now,
Mhm.
if you want to get into technicalities, the kid did drop the gun before he was shot, but he had a gun in his hand 0.83 seconds before he was shot. So to say he's unarmed is a complete lie. The kid was armed.
It perpetuates there's the saying "hands up, don't fire." But and I believe it was CBS that actually modified the footage of it, that they changed it into a square, which cropped out the sides that showed him having the gun when he was having his run-in with the police. And so I believe Andrew Yang had actually even shown this clip, a modified clip, crops out the image of him actually having the gun. And so even when I've been just talking in leisure with my liberal friends right now, they're like, "Oh, he was unarmed." I'm like, "That's not true."
I know. So scroll down and read some of the comments. I could see Darius Mayfield, who was a guest on our show. He here was talking about, read, a child is shot almost every day in Chicago. Their names never seem to come off the lips of you and the other elitist politicians, only concerned with manipulating broken people. Will you say their names every day going forward? Please, Mr. Yang, say their names. And then he puts, "Rest in peace, Adam Toledo." And I agree. Rest in peace, Adam Toledo. He was a young man. He had his whole life ahead of him. 13 years old. It's heartbreaking what happened, but unfortunately, when you put yourself in the
A 13-year-old shouldn't be there. So it is a complete tragedy of what happened. And the Chicago, there's a lot of problems in Chicago. There's problems with the PD there, but there's also problems with the gangs that are there, and they are using these. I was listening to Tim Pool earlier, and he was describing, because he's from Chicago. He's describing how the gangs there will then recruit and use younger kids to be doing their bidding and say "Oh, go shoot this person, so you're part of our gang. You'll get out when you're 18." So that's why they're focusing a lot on the youth.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, I think, any group. I remember ISIS used to target misplaced youths also that wanted to belong somewhere or community. And so I think that targeting youth by a lot of these groups globally, on a global level, is something that just, you're taking advantage of someone who's vulnerable and not emotionally developed yet or mentally developed. These kids don't know what they're getting involved in. And unfortunately, I wish if Adam Toledo had put the gun in his jeans so that it was concealed, he might have still been alive today, because the cop would not have found the gun until he did a search on him after he was already in handcuffs. But unfortunately, the kid was just walking around with the gun outward openly that everyone could see. So it's definitely a heartbreaking situation.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Flawless American says hello, and Red Street says hi, and Auntie Petra says, "We the people will win in 2024." I hope so.
Yeah. I think 2024 and 2022, I think, is going to be a huge comeback for Republicans. We are, as Adam and I have been reaching out to Republicans who are running for office, I think that 2022 is going to be a big year, especially with what happened this past year. Like, it's time for we the people, to stand up, fight back.
Right.
Oh, I hope that doesn't get us a strike. The words fight back America, right?
I know, it's crazy. But that's why we're featuring politicians on our channel, is because we're trying to push for a red wave. And unfortunately, right now with this COVID, can't say that word, with this
C19,
with this virus, C19, we can't within the U.S. really go to New Jersey or New York. We could, but I don't know. If there was no C19 right now, we probably would have been there. We could meet these people much easier, much faster. So right now we're just going to do FaceTimes, do it over the internet, and at least drive some awareness of the cause, because I want a red wave in 2022 and 2024. We need a red wave. We got to get Trump.
Absolutely.
And
what's been great is, as we've been reaching out to people mainly on social media, like both Adam and I we've actually had really good luck, people being responsive to willing to come onto our platforms. As you guys know, we're a growing platform. And with that, I mean, we don't have the numbers as to a lot of these larger platforms do, but they're willing to just talk to us and connect to people and everything. Because basically, it's showing how down to earth the people who are coming onto our channel are, and connected to society.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, if you have a platform and you only reach 5 people, well, you're reaching 5 people, and that matters. That adds up. Mm-hmm. So I respect these people coming on to a smaller show. I mean, we do have some bigger names coming up in the near future, which should help give our a little bump. We got BG coming on soon. Can we say his name?
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's all you. We got Bryson Gray coming on the channel soon. Yeah,
Bryson Gray had responded to my Twitter and said that he would come on. He's like, sounds great, which is fantastic. And I'm excited that we're going to be interviewing a lot of mayor candidates for New York City. So both Adam and I are from lived in you're New Jersey, right? You were raised.
I was born in Mexico, but I grew up in Queens since I was 2 months old. So
and then I was living in New York for about 8-9 years. So a lot of my network is up in New York, but we've got three mayor candidates confirmed for coming onto the channel. The first one that we've finalized and scheduled a date for, Fernando Matillo, is coming on the show on Tuesday.
Very nice. Is he Latino?
Yes. Yes, he's also I watched some of his interviews. He speaks very well on immigration and his thoughts on that, of course, for legal immigration, which I feel like people have such a different, I want to say skewed perception as to what it means to be helping our neighbors. My cousin had sent me that clip that I posted on my Insta and my social media accounts of how Poland says that we're not going to feed foreigners, overfeeding, over our own starving children. And that's the concept of America first. I'm not going to feed the neighbors' kids before I even feed my own. And so we need to be taking care of our own citizens. And when we have issues like immigration, illegal immigration, it takes away from those who are going through the legal process, and it does take years. People want instantly. Even when my father came in as a refugee, it took him a long time to be able to get into the U.S., and he came through legally. And that's the experience of every legal citizen that comes into the U.S.
I saw a video on, I don't remember whose channel it was. I did send you. Maybe I could pull it up on Instagram. Pull this up for now. This video is actually really interesting. This meme is very interesting. It's not even a meme. It's just a fact. From Latinos with Trump. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. While I try to pull this other video. But look at that. Hispanic approval of Joe Biden's border policy is lower than the rest of America. So you have Latinos who are being the harshest on Joe Biden's border policy.
That's what I often find that immigrants, because the ones that came through legally, are the harshest when it comes to immigration reform, or not the harshest, but feel the strongest about it, because it negates them it negates everyone who's going through the legal process by rewarding those who are breaking the law coming in.
Exactly. So that's interesting to see that Latinos themselves are the most American Latinos are most against what Joe Biden is doing at the border. And then I just sent you another link, which is this is what I love to see. This next link, it's from Instagram, and it's a video of a woman, a school cafeteria woman, Latina, who became a cafeteria manager, became a citizen, and the way the kids react to her. I mean, this
is beautiful. I remember I actually did see this one too. This is beautiful.
And this is what we want to see. How we celebrate legal immigration.
SA.
Isn't that so beautiful?
It is.
Yeah,
this is the American dream.
I got my citizenship, and I think I was like a year and a half, 2 years old. I think I was 2 years old when I became naturalized. I remember my parents had a photo of me getting naturalized. Like I'm sitting behind the desk, and like I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm a kid, but we're all about going through the process legally. If you go through the legal process, we're more than happy to welcome you to this country. You're a product of immigration. I'm a product of immigration. I bet most of our viewers are products of immigration. And so no one's against it. But,
and also with the process that's in place, of course, we need reform to make it better. There's always opportunities for improvement. However, the process as it stands is to make sure that people who are desiring to become American. That means adopting American values, adopting the American way of life, and so because there are certain aspects that have made America exceptional, and those are outlined in our amendments, in our Bill of Rights, and the values that make us American. And there are values that are not American, and so when you have outside people coming in, it can change the makeup of America, because once you become a citizen, you got the vote. You have the right to cast a vote. Granted, we've seen instances probably in the past like year or so where maybe those who don't have the right to vote have been voting. Like, Biden was super popular amongst that 160-year-old crowd.
I mean, that brings up a good point. So I'll give you an example. When I lived in Thailand, I remember I was playing basketball in Bangkok, and they have speakers that are over the stadium, like over the court. And then all of a sudden this voice comes over, all in Thai, so I don't know what the hell's going on. But literally mid-game, everyone just stops, pauses. All the runners around the track stop and pause. Now, I'm a foreigner, no idea what the hell's going on. But I'm looking around, and I'm just like, you know what? I have to follow, because this is a custom that obviously is part of the country. It turns out every day at 6 p.m. in Thailand, over the speakers, the radios, the TV, they play the national anthem for Thailand. And so whatever you're doing, you stop, you face the camera, the speakers, whatever it is, and you honor the country. And as a foreigner, if I was the only one that was still running, people look at me like you're an asshole. Sorry. They look at you like you're a jerk. And so I had to adopt that custom to be respectful to the country, Thailand. And that's the courtesy we expect when you come into the U.S. We are okay.
Well, more than courtesy, it's what's necessary to keep our American values, not to have them go away. What you're describing is also like when I was living in the Philippines. When I would go watch a movie in the theater, they start off with playing the national anthem for the Philippines before watching a movie. And so the concept of nationalism is like, it's been skewed to take on like this bad taste in your mouth with white supremacy or nationalism. Like, no. It's about being proud about your country. There are people who take that to the extreme that we've seen in history and everything. But in our present day, and what Adam and I are talking about is being proud of being Americans.
That's right. And you can sing that song, "Speak American," very well.
I'm going to pull up that video. Billy just messaged me and said he is having some technical issues, but he's about to jump on. And before that, I'm going to play the video that I had just uploaded into YouTube with the about Poland's stance on Polish pride. So One moment. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, play that. Every country in the world, the citizens have pride for their country. You know, Mexicans down here, they wear Mexican hats, Mexico shirts. That's nationalism.
Actually, Billy already joined in and everything. Our guest of honor. Hey.
What is going on? I've been having some technical difficulties here. Like my head's about to pop.
Oh, good. Welcome to the show.
Greetings,
Welcome
everyone.
to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you on. I remember meeting this guy back at the walkaway rally. Actually, Adam, you were there too when it was a walkaway rally. On November 15th is when I want to say in DC, and Billy was one of the speakers there. And I remember like you were super popular. Everyone was around you talking to you, and I really wanted to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, but I don't want to be like one of those. So I walked away, and then the friend that I was with, she noticed the crowd had died down, and I was walking with Adam, and Adam was like, let's go get some food. I'm like, no, because I actually said to her, I was like, let me just send him an email and say that I met him at this event. And she's like, yeah, that's not how you get a response. And then when the crowd died down, she's like, go back there and talk to that guy. He's somebody you need to talk to. So,
well, I was probably gonna talk to you anyway because you had like the Trump hat and like the wig, and I was like, that girl looks hilarious, bro. I gotta talk to her before I leave.
that was my Donna Wanna Trump.
Yeah. Just trolling the people out there with that one. That was a really good event. I wasn't even supposed to speak at that event, honestly. I kind of just found the way to get up there and get on stage, and Brandon Straka was cool enough to say, hey, you know what, go ahead and speak. He didn't really have a problem with it, so shout out to Brandon for that. Thank you for giving me that opportunity, because that's how I met you, and lots of people were able to hear that. We got on OAN after that, and a couple of other news people were like, oh man, we got to talk to this guy. So that was pretty great. That was a really good time in DC.
Absolutely. So we'll jump right into it. Billy, tell everybody about who you are and why you're here with us.
So my name is Billy Prempeh. I'm from Paterson, New Jersey. I am also a Republican, if you haven't noticed by now. But I'm the Republican nominee for Congress. I'm running for Congress in 2022. I ran in 2020. We ran a really, really good, effective campaign. The district that I'm living in is a heavily, heavily blue district. However, the reason why it is heavily blue is not because the Democrats are strong, but it's because there's not enough Republicans doing work in the area. So I'm taking up a pretty big task. And the reason why I'm deciding to do that is because the incumbent who we have, he's been in office for well over 24 years. He's been in control of my city for over 40 years. And it's only gone downhill from there. There haven't been a new change of ideas, new leadership, because the Democrats have been controlling this area for such a long time. Our education system's falling apart. Violence has gone through the roof. And the legislation that our current congressman is putting out, it only does nothing but harm the United States. Right now, he's co-sponsoring the HR1 bill, which would allow 16-year-olds the eligibility to vote. It'll allow for illegals to be able to vote, and it also doesn't require identification for people to vote. And the basis he's using for that is that he believes that minorities and Black people have a hard time getting access to driver's licenses and IDs to be able to do this, which is a bit of a slap in the face because if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty Black, but I've got an ID, and I don't know a single Black person that does not have an ID. But that's just the narrative that they're trying to push here, and I'm sick and tired of this guy. Our generation has moved so far from what the traditional politicians have put in front of us for our entire lives, and I believe it's time for new leadership, more younger leadership, and people that are actually going to do what's right for the American people. We got parents that are struggling right now with the school closures, and this guy is pandering to the teachers unions. He's been pandering to the teachers unions his entire career. Those are his biggest donors and my biggest enemy, unfortunately. But I feel for the parents out here. You know, we got suicides going through the roof. Children are not getting the stimulation that they need, especially children with special needs, children that are autistic. And these school closures do nothing but harm anybody. But this is what the establishment has wanted for a very long time. They want control over the American people, and I'm sick and tired of it. I want to go into office. I want to go and fight for the American people and do what's right. So that's why I decided to get involved. I got involved in 2020, and when we ran that race, it was a race nobody said that anybody could win. However, despite that, we broke a record that was never done ever in the 9th district. So we were able to shift 33,000 votes over to the Republican side. And we proved to the rest of the world that the incumbent, Bill Pascrell, he's immortal just like us. He bleeds just like us. You know, he can be defeated, and we can change this district. And we did well last time, so we're going at it again because we only did it for 7 months last time. In the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a lockdown, with little to no resources, no support from the Passaic County, Bergen County, or Hudson County GOP, no support from the NJ GOP. We did it all by ourselves. ourselves. We figured out how to get television advertisements. I did all the Facebook advertising, the website you just pulled up, the graphic arts, all that stuff I designed, except for the new logo. The new logo, another company designed that. And I actually really like that one. But other than that, the entire website, everything was completely built by me. I ran the campaign all by myself until from February when I got into the race, because I got into the race quite late. I filed my petition like maybe 4 or 5 days before the deadline. I just kind of came out of nowhere. There was some other guy that was there. He tried to primary me. I crushed him, won the primary, and then went all the way down the road in this race in 2020. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself in a nutshell, and what I intend to do when I get into Congress, why I wanted to do it, and kind of where we are right now. So now we're back full circle.
What sets you apart from the other candidates? Like, what is unique about what you're going to bring to the table?
What is unique about what I'm going to bring to the table is first things first, with the district, with the incumbent that we have right now, literally anybody could bring something different to the table because he brings literally nothing to the table right now. But what I would like to bring is I'd like to bring a change of pace and actually listen to the American people and do what they're asking. Because a lot of the people, for example, in my community, a lot of the people, one of the biggest issues a lot of them are dealing with is the fact that these schools aren't open right now. People they don't have a lot of opportunity for jobs as well either. And a lot of the reasons why I believe this is because the deals that are being made behind the scenes by a lot of these politicians, they only help their friends and their family and the people that have contributed to their campaign, and they don't necessarily do what's right for the American people. They kind of just leave them on the wayside all the time. And I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I'm not a politician. I'm not a political person. I've never been a suit and tie kind of person. You know, I'm doing this for all the right reasons because I genuinely care about what's going on here. I've lived in this community my entire life. Outside of the time that I spent in the Air Force, I've lived in this community my entire life, and I have no intention of leaving. Even though it's getting very, very expensive to live and life is getting a lot more difficult, I know exactly where the problems are and where the problems lie. And before I leave, I'd like to at least try and resolve those problems, because moving away, it's much cheaper to just stick around and fight than it is to move away. And that's why I'm excited to go in there.
What are some of the absolutely. What are some of the main issues that you're seeing within the Paterson community?
The what?
What are some of the main issues that you're seeing in the Paterson community that you want to focus on?
So to give a little bit more perspective, the 9th district is pretty big. Well, not big, but it's quite large. It's not just Paterson. So Paterson just happens to be the largest city in the district, and that's a city that I live in. It's the one that I see every single day. And the reason why I put a lot of emphasis on Paterson is because out of all of them, it's the largest city. It's the most densely populated. It's the largest voting block, but it also has the most violence, the most crime, the most corruption out of all the cities inside of the district. That's why it's one that's referred to quite a bit. And Paterson has the potential to become a powerhouse to help the rest of the district, but it's deliberately left behind, in my opinion. You know, even the mayor we have in our city does all kinds of shady deals where he's never really putting the American people, he's never really putting the Paterson first. It's always his friends and his supporters that always seem to be coming before the people. And the issues that are going on across the district, a large portion of it, the main issue that a lot of people are dealing with is the increase in taxes. Taxes in New Jersey, I mean, where are you guys at right now anyway? Because New Jersey, the taxes in New Jersey are insane. And it's causing a lot of people to move out of the dang district. So that's something that district-wide is a main issue. Redevelopment is another real big issue. A lot of people are getting pushed out of their neighborhoods. A lot of people don't like that. You know, there's not too many single family homes anymore. And when I was a kid, everybody had a single family home. Now there's a bunch of multi-families. People are getting pushed out. The prices are going through the roof, and it's just not what it used to be anymore. And I believe a lot of this has to do with the lockdowns that happened in New York during this situation. We're going to call it that. I don't want to get you guys banned. When this situation happened, you know, New York got locked down. A lot of these people that are used to paying $2,000 for a little tiny closet, now they're coming down to New Jersey. They want to buy a whole entire apartment for $2,700, you know, and it's no big deal for them, but it's kind of pushing us out. And we got no one to blame but Governor Cuomo up there. So shout out to that, you moron. But yeah, so there's just a couple of issues that are plaguing our district within Paterson per se. Specifically, I would say education for sure. School choice number one is one of the biggest things that I believe is necessary to move this district forward, because all things fall into place when people have the appropriate education. When you have the appropriate education, you can kind of go anywhere with it, right? But if you don't know what you're doing, all you're kind of useful for is working in a factory. That's how society is kind of portrayed that. But when you at least have a skill, you at least have something you can do, you have a lot more mobility. So my idea of school choice is a little bit different from a lot of people's. So when people hear school choice, they traditionally say, hey, I just want a voucher so you can go to another school. I still support that, and I still want that. But I kind of take school choice to a little bit of a different level, because when I got involved in politics, I wanted to present solutions that were practical for all parties, right? For the teachers, for the parents, for the students, for the union, and for the community, right? So how can we actually do that? Because right now the unions, they absolutely hate me. They don't like my school choice ideas or school choice in general. So I said, okay, I don't want to get rid of these unions. I don't want to get rid of these teachers. I don't want to fire them. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff, because traditionally that's what happens. I believe that parents should still have vouchers to take their children wherever they want to go to get their education. But I take it another step further. The children that are in high school, I feel that this is the ultimate opportunity to train the next generation of God knows what. Financial workers, people that work in the trades, people that work in technology. We don't have a lot of this stuff until you actually get into college. Now, here's the problem with that. Most people have no idea what they want to do by the time they go into college. So they'll go in and they'll get something stupid like liberal arts or like gender studies, and they'll lose all their money and then be in debt for the rest of their life. You know,
Underwater basket weaving.
Underwater basket weaving. That's the one I try to remember. Christ. Oh,
yeah,
man.
exactly.
Oh my God.
And they take out these massive loan student debt for going for a degree in underwater basket weaving. And then with the ideology that like, oh, as long as I study and go to college, I'll be successful rolling in the dough. And, you know, I feel like this is almost like what's part of the American dream a little bit going on. But it's this misconception that as long as I just go to school, then it's all going to be okay. But that's not just it. You got to work hard.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely what it is. But it's like, you know, they've created a bit of a safety net to prevent people from kind of stretching their wings and flying away. But I want to try and create a solution where they don't necessarily need those wings, because those wings are growing while they're in high school. So here's what I propose in terms of school choice. Right, we need more teachers. I mean, we need more people in the career paths that I spoke about before. So how can we do that? We bring the professionals to the students. Why would they want to do that? There needs to be an incentive for a business owner to want to go to a school and train the students, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say hypothetically, and the number could change. It all really depends on where people are located and what the going rate is and all that. So let's say hypothetically, in our school here, let's say John F. Kennedy High School, we want to introduce a plumbing program. In fact, let's do something a little bit more cool. Let's do welding, right? Welding's pretty tight. Welding program. So you want to teach children how to become welders. When I was in school, and we had metal shop, it was a little bit different when we went to metal shop. We kind of just went in there, played with metal, and that was it. We didn't necessarily learn principles to actually get there, right? So what I think needs to be done is business owners, we've got lots of them within the district. They should have the ability to bid. Or I should say schools should have the ability to bid on which business they want to actually be the ones in charge of teaching their children. So the business owner, and it has to be someone who's had like maybe 10, 15 years, let's say 15 years of experience, someone with a proven track record of being an expert in their specific field. These schools can now bid for who they want this business to work with. Right. So let's say John F. Kennedy High School, we're proposing we'll give you X amount of dollars as a tax break if you have one of your best technicians or you yourself come and teach our students once a week or 4 times a month, essentially, 9 months out of the year times 4 years. So someone who comes in as a freshman and has gone through this program for the past 4 years, once a week, 4 weeks, 9 months, by the time they come out of there, they're going to be a novice or they're going to be an apprentice. They're going to be able to take these skills and either go to work for someone else in that specific career path. They can go to college, and if all else fails, they still have those skills in their back pocket, or they can go and start something with their friends, start a business with their friends. A lot of these abandoned houses we have in our community, I believe that the city should at least purchase some of these cities, at least purchase some of these homes and give them away as a reduced rate to people that have gone through these programs. They're going to be the ones who are going to be able to revamp them, revitalize them, and rebuild our economy, because right now these houses are sitting around doing nothing, absolutely nothing. So give the children an opportunity to do this. They're going to be the next generation. They're going to be the ones that are going to carry what we leave behind. So if we want to survive when we become the new baby boomers, we got to make sure that they're equipped with all the education, all the information, all the financial know-how possible to take care of us. Let's be honest here. None of this, I bet you right now, none of you guys are thinking about what are we going to do when we become old and when we retire. Because the last generation, the boomer generation, that's where they messed up. They went out and they lived their lives. They did everything that they could possible to live their best lives. But they didn't set us up necessarily for the future because nobody was really thinking about that. So I don't blame them. Hindsight 2020 at the end of the day. But the way I see it is right now we're kind of like at the end of our rope in America, depending on which direction this goes. We can go full on communist or socialist, or we can go right back to capitalism and patriotism. It really depends on where we want to go with this. So we don't know. We don't know the direction. And that's because no one has the appropriate education. So give these children the appropriate education. We'll be able to fix America, and we got to bring it all back together. Because when people have the appropriate education, they make smarter decisions. There's a vested interest in keeping people stupid. I want to counter that. I want to counter that altogether. And if I can't counter that because of the socialist agenda they got in there, because of the unions and all this stuff, I want to at least give these children a shot at life, at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say two things. Number one, trade schools can lead to very lucrative careers. I mean, some of these
I wish I went to trade school. That's why I went to the Air Force instead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're specialized in a trade, you could make deep into six figures, and then you could eventually open your own business. So I'm a big supporter of what you're proposing with trade schools. The second thing that scares me is that in America, if you ask the kid, what's the number one career that you want? The answer is a YouTuber. Same as England, same as Canada, same as Mexico. Almost every kid worldwide wants to be a YouTuber, except for one.
Same as us.
Except for one country. You know what that country is?
India?
China. The average kid in China wants to be an astronaut, whereas the rest of the world, we're all choosing YouTubers. And that to me is scary because we are dumbing down the world, and China also reinforcing and strengthening their future. And
they are.
They're making a generational year play China on us right now, and it's scary that they're winning right now in the short term.
China's GDP economy grew by 18% in this first quarter. I just heard that on NPR. That's a huge growth.
Record.
Well, not only that, it's like China, they've been investing a lot of money into building coal plants. They now have, I believe, 3 times the amount of coal plants as the entire entire Western world right now. So they've dramatically increased their energy output. And there's only one reason why you would need that much energy is because you're intending to produce more. So while we're over here believing this Green New Deal madness and we're trying to shut down all of our plants, China's tripling down on it. Where do you think if we start shutting down and getting rid of our plants, getting rid of our energy, and China's over there building it all out, they're also buying all the gold in my parents' country in Ghana. They're out there completely dominating all the industries. They're buying up the gold, buying up the mines, buying up all that stuff. What do you think is going to happen when the rest of the world, or for example, say the United States, we keep this moron in here much longer, shutting down the pipelines. The next thing you know, we got to shut down the nuclear plants. Another thing from there, hey, you know what? Let's stop all the oil production altogether. We're going to put solar panels on every single car. We're going to, it's going to get retarded. And the second we get to that point, we're going to end up buying energy from China. And I believe that's the play that they're trying to make here. They're trying to cripple America in the best way possible.
Well, they're also buying lands here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden is giving them access to our energy grids, which is just, it's mind-boggling.
It's not mind-boggling when you can see that the guy's not for America. He never really was for America. He's been here for 47 years, and there's not a single thing that I've seen this guy propose that actually has been positive for America. And I'm talking about Americans as a whole. Primarily, he's done a lot of very bad things to the African-American community. The way he treated Justice Thomas, the way that he created the 94 crime bill that's locked up so many African-Americans disproportionately, the countless racist things he said throughout his career. For 47 years, this guy's done absolutely nothing. So I'm kind of not surprised to see our country go in the direction that it's in. I don't want it to go down this direction. I never signed up for this, but that's kind of where we are right now. But the good news about a Joe Biden presidency, though, is a lot of people are waking up. Even the deepest asleep of the sheep, is waking up to what this guy's done to the country right now. And I think that's a good thing, because now people can look at the country objectively and say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not just maybe I shouldn't be too focused on this Joe Biden thing. And I like Joe Biden because it's Biden, because he's not really representing us at all, you know. So the good thing is the people that were talking the most about how great he was, how they loved him and all this, I don't see these people on social media anymore. I don't see them posting. I don't see them bragging or talking or bashing Trump or any of this stuff, because the problems are not Trump anymore. And the thing that I'm actually seeing that's funny is the people that were under Trump, that hated Trump, that are now under Biden, most of them actually are like, yo, why is the gas so high? Oh, man, why'd the tax shoot up? Yo, bro, Jesus, how much? What? Yeah, because now they can actually kind of see it. And these are the people that typically don't know this stuff. When people get educated, this brings me back to that point. When people get educated and people understand what is going on in our country, how civics works. When I was a child, Tara, I'm not certain about you, but when I was a kid, we had civics class. You know, we learned about all this stuff. We learned about, you know, how Congress works, how the Supreme Court works, how the executive office works. We learned about all these different things, how our government works, how local government works, how freeholders work, which is now county commissioner because of racism. You know, they changed the word. So, but we learned about how all this stuff happened in school. And now our kids don't know anything about this. They have no idea how our government even works. All they know is Biden because free college. Or, you know, Trump, racist, evil man. You know, it's like politics has become very, very condensed and very, very simplified. And then we have YouTubers, like you're talking about, you know, these influencer kind of people that like do nails or whatever the case may be, who have no idea what is going on in the world. They get paid a couple of bucks, and then they'll go and give their political opinion to more children that have no idea what's going on. And then they file their political opinion, and none of them are going to research, even though everyone has the most powerful weapon the world has ever seen in their back pocket. No one will actually go on there and research the facts. And even if you did try and go on there and research the facts, you got Google on there manipulating and changing all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of like a never-ending circle, unfortunately.
Can you show us that phone case again real quick?
The phone case? Oh.
There we go. That looks so good, man. I miss seeing that flag. I'm in Mexico right now. I don't get to see much Trump flags down here.
It's all good. Mexico's beautiful.
That's right. It really is beautiful.
And you know what's funny? Now that we're on the topic of Mexico, that's one thing that I always found not that I found interesting, but that's one thing that I firmly believe in. Some conservatives don't like this opinion, but I think it's a very rational, reasonable opinion. I want to see Mexico as rich as possible. I want to see Mexico very, very wealthy. And the reason why is, for one, Mexico already is not a poor country. It's not by any means. Look at you. What are you in a cabana right now? Look at the place. It's beautiful where you're at. You know, so I'm like, Mexico's not a poor country, okay? There's a lot of corruption inside of Mexico, and that's why a lot of things can't get done. But if just imagine this for a second. Just think about it. If Mexico was a powerhouse of an economy, right, and business was booming and coming out of Mexico, right, would the United States still be doing as much business as we are with China? If we can get cheap goods from Mexico as well, too, I'd rather buy from my neighbor than buy from China. You know, Mexico's not Mexico's not locking people in concentration camps and raping them and torturing them, or, you know, killing firstborns and doing all, you know, the scientific projects, combining. And they're not doing any of that kind of stuff. All right. Mexico, they want to be regular humans just like us. They want to grow just like us. They want to be rich just like us. They're our neighbors. Those are literally our brothers and sisters right there. So I'd rather see Mexico do extremely well, because for one, if I'm in Mexico and I'm in poverty and my economy suddenly starts booming, I'm not going to America. Why am I going to go to America for? For what? I'd rather just work here and start my business. You know, in fact, America, you're probably going to want to come here. You know, and I think that's a situation that I'd like to see. I don't want it to be imbalanced where America starts going like, you know, the way Biden's doing to China, where it's like, let's just bend America this way and send China that way. But listen, I'd rather work with what we need to do. And that's something that Trump was working on. And I didn't really see the vision until now that he's no longer president. The USMCA is a phenomenal idea. It's a phenomenal idea because the NAFTA agreement was terrible. It did nothing but destroy our economy. A lot of our businesses went down to Mexico rather than actually setting up shop inside of the United States. So working with Mexico and making them into a better ally, it weakens China. It makes America better. It helps our ally. It strengthens relations. And I believe, and this is another controversial opinion, we're going to war fighting ISIS and all these other randos on the other side of the world. And Obama created ISIS, by the way. You know, we're going on the other side of the world fighting these terrorists, you know, who the only reason why they're even fighting us is because we keep poking their bees nest over and over and over and over again, you know, because it's profitable. It's very profitable. I would rather see the United States work hand in hand with the Mexican military to eradicate the cartel. And it's a much better enemy for us to be dealing with because we have a vested interest in getting rid of the cartels. The cartels are smuggling people into this country. They're sending drugs into this country, and they're making our streets violent as well, too. A lot of these illegal guns that they keep talking about, a lot of these shootings that are happening in Chicago and a lot of these bad places, they're not getting these things from their local gun shop or Walmart legally. These things are walking the border illegally, and it's the cartels that are also funneling this kind of thing. So we have a vested interest in getting rid of the cartels and making sure that Mexico can do well. Will we do it though? I highly doubt it because, you know, it looks like this administration would rather see America torn into a million pieces, which is why we need to get Donald Trump back in office.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points, and the one thing I'll say is, I've been in Mexico now for almost 3 months. A lot of people that have been following my channel, seen videos from Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, Sayulita, and I get similar comments constantly. Number one, they didn't realize that Mexicans can look so diverse.
Oh, yeah.
There are some light-skinned, you know, Mexican women. There are dark-skinned. People didn't realize that. There are a lot of light-skinned Mexican women here. And the second thing is, when they've seen my channel and watched my travel videos, they've literally said to me, wow, Mexico looks beautiful and safe. I thought all of Mexico was dangerous and poor. And I'm just like, that's the perception of someone who's ignorant about Mexico. But if you really know the country, this is a beautiful country. The people here are so hardworking, family-oriented, religious, respectful people down here.
Right.
So if we can develop a better relationship with Mexico, have a bigger expat community down here, have a better trade agreement down here, I think it would benefit America, it would benefit everybody.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're right on that.
And also for if we invest more into Mexico and also into South America to actually helping the issues that they're having there, that's going to help alleviate the migration issues that we're having.
Exactly.
For an actual sustainable long-term solution, because we will eliminate why they are wanting to leave their countries to be coming up to America. So rather than spending the money here in America, putting people up in hotels, $81 million spent on hotels for illegal immigrants, like that's money in a sense, like in a better, more sustainable usage is if it got pumped into helping that country to develop business or alleviate whatever problems they're having. And so people wouldn't want to also then leave.
Yeah, and Billy, it seems to me like the Democrats are trying to prioritize a lot of the illegal immigrants instead of people like the veterans of the U.S., the homeless veterans here. And that to me is a problem. My dad served. My dad's a veteran. He's not homeless, but there are many homeless veterans in America. What kind of ideas do you have around that topic of how we can reprioritize American citizens first, especially people like homeless veterans?
It's very simple. Help them first. It's very simple. Help them first. Think about this. It's really simple. It's not rocket science. We know where these homeless people are. Okay. At the very very least, these people have a social security number. At the very least. All right. We know they're American. If we wanted to find them, we can find them. You know, are we doing it? No. Instead, we're spending a lot of our resources, like you said, to go and find or even help illegals. My state is a sanctuary state, and they take pride in being a sanctuary state. They want it this way because that's how they're able to control it. That's why they support bills like HR 1 to allow 16-year-olds to vote, to allow illegals to vote, to not require ID. They're going to spend a lot of money to give it to someone who does not care about the United States. In fact, I'll give you a funny story. Well, it's not even a funny story. It actually kind of infuriated me when it happened. This was about 2 years ago. December of like about 2 years ago. I'm driving home one day and I'm sitting in my car and I have the video recorded. It's on my Instagram somewhere, but I'm sitting in my car and I'm recording and I'm just talking to myself, right? Like I forgot what I was talking about, but then car pulls, I see it at the corner of my eye, right? There's a cop that's like double parked with the hazards on the street behind me. And then this other Honda Civic just kind of comes barreling down the road, right? Almost hits the cop car. Goes forward. The cop turns his lights on, pulls him over, right? Ends up pulling the guy over right in front of me. And I'm like, oh man, that guy's done. Like I'm thinking like this guy's drunk or whatever the case is. I'm like, he's done. So I'm recording. The cop looks at me. He's like, hey, put your camera away. So I'm like, all right. I put the camera down. I started recording after the cop leaves. So I'm like, what the heck? The cop's not going to pull him over, not going to take his car. Like, the guy was really driving crazy. I walk up to the car, and in the video, you can hear me speak with the guy. I'm like, hey, what happened? Is everything okay? Just making sure everything's all right. And he's like, yeah, everything's good. And I'm like, what did he do? He's like, he wants me to just leave my car here. And I'm like, why? Are you drunk? And he's like, nah. And he's like, are you high? He's like, nah. He said, I can't be driving. I'm like, why? You don't have an ID? And he's like, yeah, I don't have my driver's license. It's like, oh, damn. So you get suspended? Nah, I'm illegal. I'm not supposed to be here. And then I got really quiet because the only thing that was going through my head was, I remember when I was 17 years old and I was driving, I had my driver's license, and one day it fell into the area that I call the no man's land. You probably know what I'm talking about. It's that space between the center console and your chair where, like, you can't get it. So like if the ID fell into no man's land, cop pulls me over. I think it was for like a busted taillight or something crazy like that. Cop pulls me over, and the cop's asking for my ID, and I'm telling him exactly what it is. And I know my driver's license number by heart, by the way, specifically for situations like this. So I'm telling him, like, hey, listen, my card, it actually fell in no man's land. Like, this is my ID number. And the cop's like, yeah, whatever, right? Cop didn't want to buy it. Cop writes me a ticket for driving with no license. And I'm like, what the heck? So it's crazy. However, you got someone here who's driving no license. The car most likely wasn't registered. You're speeding like a maniac down River Street in Paterson. You almost hit a cop car. If the cop opened the door and just stepped out, like at that specific moment, he could have died. If a little kid or anybody was crossing the street, they could have died. So reckless on so many different levels, but this person, you don't write him up, you don't arrest him, you don't take the car, you do absolutely nothing to this person because he's illegal. But my life will be destroyed. My life will be totally destroyed, right? I got to pay all kinds of money. I got to go to court. I got to hire lawyers. I got to get my paperwork back in order. I got to do all that stuff. But because this guy's illegal, he gets to chill right there and have someone come pick up his vehicle. That's the kind of stuff that they got going on in the state of New Jersey. So it's like they're prioritizing illegals before they actually. So that's why, and sometimes the most irritating thing is when I hear from other people and they're like, oh, that's not true about illegals. I'm like, illegals don't get all the benefits. And I'm like, bro, they shouldn't get a dime of benefits. Why are you even arguing this point? Oh, they're humans too. I understand, but they're not supposed to be here. If I can't come in your house and just sit there and live there without your consent, why should someone be able to come into our country and live here and enjoy and reap the benefits without our consent that we're paying for at that? I tell this a lot, especially to the people in the African-American community. I tell them a lot. I was like, listen, illegal immigration, if there's anyone who should be against illegal immigration, it's the African-American community. Bro, it pushes us out of jobs. It pushes us out of housing. It does everything to completely crush us. It doesn't help us in any way whatsoever, okay? Anybody that's telling, oh, illegals aren't taking your jobs. Yeah, they are. Oh, those are the low-end jobs. Oh, that's what you really think about illegals? You really think they're doing low-end jobs? I know some illegal people here in New Jersey right now that are making six figures. Yeah. I know them. So like that's why I'm like, I don't want to hear that nonsense. I know some people that are in school right now that are getting law degrees that are illegal because of these programs that they've got. So I don't want to hear that nonsense. Those are programs where African Americans could be in those situations, but they're not.
Yeah, it's interesting that when Trump was in office, border illegal immigration was at its all-time lowest, which just so happened to coincide with the Black unemployment rate, the Latino unemployment rate, being at their lowest levels ever in history. Go figure, right? Go figure. It's a lot of this is common sense. It's common sense. I think Trump's policies, as you said, gave more jobs for American citizens. Yeah, absolutely. And we got to get that guy back. If not him, Ron DeSantis, man, somebody.
Yeah, DeSantis. I'm in Florida, so.
Did you move? All day.
Well, I've been living in Florida. I've just been bouncing around.
Oh, you're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm going to be in Minneapolis on Monday. So. Oh wow. and then to New York, and then to New York after that.
Oh, good old New York. Yeah. He's going riot chasing. All my friends.
My nighttime job.
That's what you're doing. You're gonna document the riots.
Yeah. So I've got a live view, so I can have a live view solo, so that I can have a very clean feed coming into my.
Tell them how much it costs.
My dad's watching the stream, so I don't want to talk about how much I spent. It was quite the investment.
Her monthly subscription is more than a car payment. Let's just say that.
My God. Hey, but it'll be worth it, though. It'll be worth it.
Yeah. So everybody can tune into the Polish American Brotherhood to see what's going on the ground in Minneapolis this week when I get there on Monday.
I'm going to live stream your live stream.
Well, when you go to New York, I might go out there with you and see what's going on, because I don't want to partake in the madness. I kind of just want to see it for myself, and I made a document for myself, and hopefully,
Yeah, and I mean, even the reason that I'm
Okay.
going out there to be documenting it, because like I see what's going on. I watch PT News to see what streams are going on from a ground level perspective, like the guerrillas journalists basically that are going out there. I love that too, and I like to be also one of those to be documenting.
No, you push the envelope so much.
And so that's what I'm going to be doing in the evening. Plus, I watch, what I'm seeing on PT News versus what I'm seeing in like CNN. It's such a difference. So you're not going to be getting this kind of information from mainstream media. And that's the importance of the rise of the citizen journalist, to be getting actual truth out there.
Right. Awkward silence.
Adam, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I think that's what's threatening the establishment and the corporate media, is that there are people like you, Tara, that are out there on the street getting the real news, the Andy Knows of the world, even the Tim Pools that are analyzing this to a mainstream audience, the Salty Crackers. All these people are a threat to the mainstream media because some of these people's platforms are bigger. Isn't that crazy? You got Anomaly. You guys know Anomaly?
Yeah.
He has the number one article about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine on Facebook, bigger than CNN, Fox, NBC, all of them. And so they're trying to take him down because he's too big, and he's just an independent.
And he does a lot of really good information. Yeah, they shut down James earlier.
Yeah, they shut down James O'Keefe, and he's a guerrilla journalist as well. What are they afraid of? The truth coming out?
It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
Billy, what is your thoughts about with the violence, the riots that are going on? What do you feel is the actual issues in our communities and our societies, and what's going on with the whole defund the police movement and a race war that seems to be going on?
So first off, I mean, Black Lives Matter, they're a Marxist organization. That's the number one thing that when people ask me about this, that's why I tell them off the rip. Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. The founders of the organization admit themselves that they're trained Marxists, right? This is what they do. They've designed themselves to go after the Western economy, the capitalist system that we have right now. They don't want this. They don't want this kind of life for America. And because of that, you should kind of understand that everything that's been done thus far in regards to race, it's always been some kind of heightened situation. If you've noticed the pattern, I've noticed the pattern very early on, that every one of these deaths that happen, like these Black Lives Matter kind of deaths, they always happen when someone is doing something wrong. Every time. I've noticed that. It's always when someone's doing something wrong. It's always something that could be prevented and can be very, very preventable. The person who ends up getting killed, the police end up walking away because of some kind of technicality, like what happened to Trayvon Martin, right? This guy was acting in self-defense, stand your ground. Okay, now we're going to use this as an opportunity to try and get rid of gun laws. All right. A mass shooting happens over here, right? Or some people get shot in a salon. We got to get rid of guns. While in Chicago, like 30, 40 people will die in a night, in a matter of hours. No talk about that at all, though. But they want you to get focused on the fact that the guy who's lighter than me shot someone who looks like me. They want that kind of narrative because that draws ratings. Emotion is very easy to manipulate. And people that are easy to manipulate, people that are very emotional, are easy to manipulate. So they're going to go and they're going to push the narrative. And that's going to help get their agenda across. And right now, they want to get rid of the American economy. They want to get rid of capitalism. This is something that they've said has been a pillar of what they want to do. It's not there anymore. The when you went to BLM.com, you went to where it says what we are. They took that page down, but it had like a full detailed breakdown of all the things that they support. You guys remember that, right? And
I remember that. Against the nuclear family.
Oh my God, yes, that's the one I was gonna say. Like, then they had this word soup thing. Like, we are against the Western ideological belief in the traditional nuclear family, and I'm like, so basically you don't want families, you don't want the father in the household. Basically just say that. So if that's the case and you're Black Lives Matter, you're talking about, you're for black people, one of the biggest issues that are facing the African American community is the single parent households. That's one of the biggest issues. And if you're against the nuclear family, I see them talking about they're for gay black rights, for trans black rights, but there's nothing. They're for female rights, for women's rights, but there's nothing for black male rights, even though they're the ones that are being shot the entire time, and they're not even talking about it. But BLM. Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm on a roll. BLM will use this as an opportunity to go and push their agenda. They'll use it as an opportunity to push their agenda forward. With what happens to Chauvin, I believe Chauvin should be charged. But whether Chauvin gets charged or he doesn't get charged or not, honestly, it does not matter because the people are still going to go out and riot. The other guy who just ran, who tried to run from the cops, he tried to jump in his car, right? He was wrong. He was totally wrong. You should not have ran from the cops. We know why he ran from the cops. We know the dude had a warrant. We know why if he did get arrested, he would have been doing some time. So I understand why he ran. But the problem is when you start to have all these situations like George Floyd or whatever, people are like, oh, we shouldn't let this happen. This cop is a scumbag. Then when people who are actually in the wrong, in this case, like Dante Wright, I believe his name is, like in situations like Dante Wright, you know, you see all these situations where all black people are getting killed. They feel that it's acceptable to go out there and do that, to go and do something that could put your life in more danger. Bro, if you're caught, you're caught. You can't beat the cop. You know what I'm saying? You can beat him in court, but you can't beat the cop on the street. And if you've done something wrong, you've done something wrong. That kid did not deserve to die. That kid did not deserve to be shot. That officer that pulled the trigger is an absolute knucklehead as well, too, though. She's no better. You know, she should know better after 20-something years in the force where your gun is and where your taser is. But then I also understand, and it's to anybody who's been through stress training, they can attest to this. When you're in a stressful situation, you can make mistakes. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, this lady went and shot him because he's black, because that's clearly not the case. You watch the video, and it's and even if we want to go even further, before the problem even laid on the hands of the lady who pulled the trigger, the guy who was arresting him, everybody that I've seen that's been arrested, that's been arrested, or I've seen officers arresting people, that guy had no control over the suspect at all. He just had his arms behind his back, like real flail, like, hey, let me put the handcuffs on you. You know, he's not on top. He's not like making sure he's got control of the shoulders and the back and the body, making sure he's not going anywhere, you know. But they let this person slip out. So I would say both of these officers were in the wrong. They weren't trained properly. And this is exactly why I'm a firm believer in police reform, but not police reform in the way that you think. Police reform in the sense that it's like police officers, they do need a lot of training. Anybody who thinks that, because the problem is these Marxists, they'll take the job of being a police officer and they'll minimalize it into something something that it's not. They'll make it sound like it's much simpler than it is. Like you can just go and talk to someone. You don't need to bring a gun on every stop. You can just go and talk to someone. Yeah, go and talk to a guy who's off his meds with 2 machetes in the middle of the street. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like this is the type of logic that they've got. So what they'll do is they'll minimalize what these cops do. Being a cop is a very difficult job. It's not an easy job. All right, is it the best? Are there some mean, crunky cops? Absolutely. But it's not an easy job. You have no idea what you're going into every single day, but you got to do what you got to do. It's what you got to do to keep the community safe. But when you get rid of these kinds of cops, you got to ask yourself, okay, so then who's in charge? If we cannot have guns, think of this logic here, right? If we cannot have guns and they want to defund the police, who protects the people then? Because people can't protect themselves with guns. Who protects the people from the criminals? Who protects them from the cartels? Who protects them from the gangs? Who does any of this kind of stuff? And if we do still have the police and you want to de-escalate these officers and get them to have no weapons and be able to go into buildings and do all this stuff without any armed support, how are they going to stand up against these criminals? Who's going to want to be a cop? Now they want to try and get rid of qualified immunity. Right? Police officer does something wrong, they can arrest the police officer, right? And
the George Floyd Act that they're trying to pass.
Yeah, and it's like, it's funny, when I first saw this, it made sense on paper. The first time that I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, we should be able to sue police officers that do something wrong. Here's the problem, though. None of these cops are going to want to be cops. This, if anything, the removal of qualified immunity will lead to defunding the police, essentially, without having to defund the police. People are just not going to want to be police officers. Why would anybody want to be a police officer when you could be sued for literally anything? Literally anything. Being a cop is a tough job, right? You got to deal with all different types of deal with different types of people in society, right? You pull someone over, let's say nothing happens, right? That guy, for whatever reason, could be like, this cop was racist to me, or whatever the case was, and can sue that cop and destroy his career. That's a scenario. Excuse me. That's a scenario that can happen literally every single day. How long before all these cops will start leaving the force? I wouldn't want to be a cop in a situation like that. I wouldn't want to do this job. And if they're not going to do the job and not going to maintain the safety and security, then who is? The local drug lords? It's not going to be the way that you think. It's going to be like freaking, like Mad Max. You got a situation like that.
You're gonna have to pay the gangs to protect you in your own neighborhood.
Exactly. You got to pay a vig to the boss.
That's crazy.
Mob bosses.
Right.
My cousin's in the force, and years ago, before this really became mainstream news, he told me, he said, Adam, do you realize how much stuff police officers deal with that never make the news?
Yeah.
When you have a man with a knife, you have a man who's trying to bite you, you have a man that's spitting on you. He's like, we deal with this every single day, and we put ourselves at risk for disease, for death, for being stabbed. And many times we're able to arrest, subdue legally within everyone's rights. Doesn't make the news. There's no story. And so what happens is when you look at the actual data, there's millions of interactions every single year between police and citizens, millions. Well, which ones make the news because which ones drive rage, which ones drive revenue? It's the stories like Devontae Wright. It's the stories like Chauvin. But the other 99.9999% that go totally fine, we don't see. And that to me is extremely messed up. The one thing that I wanted to mention earlier about the BLM website you talked about, they never mentioned the word fathers on the site. I remember that. Nope. That's very clear. When they gave a list, they said like siblings, cousins, families, grandparents, but they never once
but men,
dads or fathers. It was very, very bizarre to me. And the third thing I wanted to bring up was what I find interesting by the left was whenever there's a shooting, such as the FedEx shooting that happened today or yesterday, rest in peace to all the victims, they always blame the guns. But yet when it's a cop, they always blame the cop.
Yeah.
So you can't have it both ways where when the criminal does the act, you blame the gun. But when a cop does something, you blame the cop. It's either the guns are a problem or the person's the problem. And in my opinion, the person's the problem. Because you never find in the news that the people that are doing these shootings are part of the NRA. Most responsible gun owners don't do mass shootings.
No.
It's people that are with an illegal weapon. They're already criminals. They're going to find a way to do what they want, whether it's with a gun, a knife, a car, a vehicle, a homemade weapon. So I just get sick and tired of these anti-gun laws. We need responsible gun ownership. We do need some type of background checks. We do need to have some regulations. But you can't tell me you cannot.
See, but here's the thing now. But now here's the thing. Here's what I want to say about regulations. Is United States already has some very, very strict regulations. I don't know if you've ever tried to apply to get a gun, but it's not as easy as the media makes it seem. And it's very
Chicago has very strict gun laws.
Well, yeah, exactly my point. Yet Chicago has the most gun violence. It doesn't make any kind of sense to me. It's kind of like the same logic like that the people in the United Kingdom used to give me when I was stationed in the UK. They used to talk like they were we're on top of the mountain. We don't have any gun violence in England. And I'm like, yeah, you don't. You don't. It's true. You guys don't really have a lot of gun violence, but you guys have 5 times the amount of stabbings. There's way more people stabbing each other over there in England. But you know what they do? Their initiative is drop the knife, save a life. So they got this whole thing. They got these bins all over the country where people can just deposit their knives. And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. They don't even, in most of these stores, they don't even sell knives with the pointed tip anymore. They have these knives, these rounded off edges. It's so stupid, Yet people are still going out there and killing. Is it really the knife? Is it really the knife that's doing the damage, or is it the psychopath behind the knife? It's a psychopath behind the knife. If someone hits somebody with a car, and there's way more people getting hit by cars than people getting shot or even stabbed. If someone gets hit by a car, right? Is it the car's fault? We got to ban all the cars? No, of course not. The driver, the person who did it, the person who had malicious intent is the one who did it. Like that moron who drove into the sidewalk in New York, that terrorist attack. You guys remember that about 2-3 years ago? Right?
Yeah.
If people want to be insanos, they're going to be insanos. They're going to find ways to do it. So, and that's something else that's going on in society. That's a whole psychological issue that we have to deal with.
Focus on mental health.
Exactly. And that's a whole other issue. All right. So that right there, that's got nothing to do with the guns. The tool that's being used is irrelevant as opposed to what is going on with the individual on the inside. And that's how can we actually resolve that problem before it gets to that point? Who knows? One thing that I will suggest is one thing that I think, and I don't know why it's not something that we have right now. I believe every school should be designated to have at least 1 or 2 mental health counselors. That's something that every school, to the best of my knowledge, every school doesn't have a mental health counselor. When I was a kid, there were a lot of wild, people were bringing machetes to school when I was a kid. You know what I mean? People were bringing guns. People were getting shot in the hall. All kinds of stuff was happening. Well, not in the hallways, but all kinds of stuff was happening when I was in school. Some real bad dudes I went to school with. If a mental health counselor was in there, I think things could have been a lot different. I believe that children could have made different decisions. Someone could have been working through their trauma, working through their damage. Some of these children have broken households, and they may have no one to actually talk to that can actually help guide them through this. So I think mental health is something. Why has no one thought of this? Why has no one thought of this? We have guidance counselors, we have nurses, but someone that can actually help them through these issues, right? I think that's something that should be implemented across the country.
That seems like a very common sense solution, easy to implement it into it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then one thing I'll also say is I don't remember who said this quote, but a well-armed society is a polite society.
Absolutely.
I think that America is past the point of being a gunless country. Like, we're never going to be Japan or Australia, where no one has guns. It's never going to happen. So at this point, it's going to have to go one of two ways. Are we going to live in a country where only the bad guys have guns? So when they come into a supermarket or a place, everyone else is defenseless? Or are we going to come into a society where every citizen learns how to handle the gun, is trained with the gun, carries a gun? So when some psychotic idiot comes into a place, he's going to be coming into a basically small militia. That, to me, at this point, is where America should go, because we're certainly not going gun free. We're too past that. It says in our Constitution, right to bear arms, and we're never going to change that. So I think that we need to have a well-armed, polite society at this point.
I just subscribed to the Daily Wire, and I didn't realize that they actually have movies that are on that platform. And so one of the movies I watched the other night was Run, Hide, Fight, and it was about a school shooting. And the heroine of the story, she's trained in guns, and so they focused more on how she was able to fight back against the shooters, and then subsequently save a lot of the students. And so that was a different portrayal of what we think of when it comes to mass shootings, because if in those scenarios, if you can have somebody neutralize what's going on, but that's the premise of the movie, showing that a student was well trained and knew how to use firearms, so she was able to get a firearm from one of the shooters, and then she was able to then save the other kids.
Nice. I gotta check that film out. I didn't know that Daily Wire had movies, so that's news to me.
Yeah, I reached out to the director of the film, and he did respond to me on Instagram. So I'm going to ask him if he'll come on and talk about the film on our channel and everything.
That's awesome. Good job, Tara. Hey, we have a question from one of our VIP viewers, Muser. He wanted to know your opinion, Billy, on the BLM founder buying multiple houses worth over a couple million. And I'm going to add, in mostly white neighborhoods.
BLM doesn't stand for Black Lives Matter. It stands for Buy Large Mansion. So BLM, that's gonna be the next shirt design that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna have it say, "Don't steal my design, internet." All right, do not steal my design. All right. So
how'd you do that? Whoa.
Huh?
Whoa.
I have magic powers. That's how I was able to do that. But I think that's so. BLM, Buy Large Mansion. I think that this lady, look, I saw this coming. One thing, the minute that I knew that BLM was nonsense was when I saw I think it was 2018 or 2019, when I saw that there was a massive BLM rally in Japan. In Japan, I'm like, bro, okay, cool, solidarity and all that, but to the best of my knowledge, there's little to no black people in Japan, unless they're like an American traveling or they're in the military or something. There's not a lot of black people out there. But when I saw it, I'm like, bro, they're raising money in Japan. They're doing this in Sweden, in Germany. Oh, so this is a global movement. There ain't no black people getting shot by cops in Japan. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? But they're over there. So at that point, I realized, I'm like, this is about transforming people's mentalities and shifting ideologies. That's what this is about. They've raised billions and billions and billions of dollars. Less than 9% has actually gone to inner cities, if that. And that's if those numbers are accurate. I haven't seen any positives. You know, in my city, for example, the only thing that I've seen thus far is like they painted Black Lives Matter down the road. Sure, it looks really cool, but lives have not improved at all.
virtue signaling.
But we know where the money's going now, though. At least
the grassroots activists have actually because with all the money that's been pouring in for donations to the national organization, the grassroots organizers have been pleading for some of that money to trickle down to their state level chapters. Yeah. And when she had purchased all of those houses, I believe it was the one of the chapter leaders from New York had actually asked for an audit of her finances for it, and then her response back was then to counter or civil suit him for using the name Black Lives Matter from his organization.
I mean, it's that's why it infuriates me, especially when I try and tell other Black people, I'm like, listen, man, this thing is a ruse. Okay, they do not care about you at all. These people are making lots and lots and lots of money. What are they doing for you? You're buying their shirts, you're buying their face masks, you're buying all this stuff. You're supporting them, you're donating to them, and then they're going to take that cash and then donate it to Democrat candidates, or they're going to buy mansions, BLM, buy large mansion. That's what it's all been about. It's got nothing to do with us.
Billy, we have a question from a very VIP candidate, Marian Sapansky, who is
AKA my dad.
Tara's
daddy.
Do you think that somebody is controlling the Democrats like a globalist?
Possibly. I think there's a high at this point. It's so orchestrated that there's a very high possibility that there's somebody, I don't know who, maybe the Illuminati. I don't know. I don't know. But the Democrat Party is definitely going in an agenda that doesn't seem to be in line with America's best interest. It seems to be about making America dependent on foreign countries for energy. They want to continue to go to war. Even Joe Biden saying, "Hey, we're going to pull out of Afghanistan on this specific date," is only going to lead to more war. The last time, who did that? Trump did that. Well, not Trump. Obama did that last time, right? Oh, we're leaving Afghanistan on this date. And then when I left Afghanistan, I left the tanks, I left the weapons, I left all kinds of stuff. Even though according to military protocol, you're supposed to destroy that stuff, we left it behind. And the terrorists got a hold of it. And then we had to go back. We had to go fight them all over again. That's the same thing that Joe Biden is going to end up doing. We're going to leave. They're going to know exactly when we're leaving, which is the worst part, because now we're giving them a time. Okay, good. Once it's like when you're a kid and your mom says, "Hey, I'm going to leave. Don't jump on the bed." And the second mom leaves the room, you're like, "All right, screw it, let's jump on the bed." That's exactly what these guys are going to do. And now they know we're leaving. Rather than keeping their mouth shut. President Trump, one thing that a lot of people sleep on, and I was talking about this last night on Instagram Live, is one thing a lot of people sleep on is Donald Trump, when it came to taking care of these terrorists, taking care of all these military scenarios, he never told the world what was going to happen. Heck, I even thought that Trump was crazy and out of his mind with some of the things that he was saying when he was like, for example, with North Korea saying like, "Oh, well, we got the capability to launch a nuclear weapon from here over to Guam, or even to now you could possibly hit the mainland of the United States." And Donald Trump says, "Well, if you've got a button, we've got an even bigger button." And I'm like, this guy's going to get us killed. He's going to take us to war. But what happens? Kim Jong-un says, "You know what? Let's go have dinner. Why don't you come and meet me? In fact, come into the DMZ, come past the DMZ, man.
Polite society."
Right. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay.
By himself, he walked across.
By himself. That's another thing on top of that. He didn't walk with like a military escort, like just straight up him by himself and behind enemy.
He walked slowly with confidence, and it was so beautiful to see.
Because what's he gonna do? You know what I mean? That's the type of leadership that our country actually needs right now. When we went to go after ISIS, right, which is one of the, out of all the reasons why I really, really like Donald Trump, it's because of how quickly and efficiently he got rid of ISIS and put the world to peace in terms of war. Because with ISIS, I was in the military when we were fighting ISIS, right? We were fighting these guys for a long time. They only seem to keep getting stronger and stronger. It's because Barack Obama allowed them to get stronger. How is it possible that this guy comes out of nowhere and he wipes them out in under, 2 months, 3 months? He wipes them out? How did he do that? He's not a military strategist. Obama's had more. Obama's not either, but he's definitely had a lot more time in office and a lot more military experience than Trump did. Trump got in, and within months, he obliterated ISIS. We're talking terrorists here. All right. People have been doing this a long time. They got money, they got oil, they got all kinds of stuff. He was able to take these guys down.
Yeah, take them down. First, the one thing I want to say is thank you for your service. That's awesome that you serve the country. So you are a true patriot. But secondly, I think Trump used common sense approach and probably relied on his military leadership a lot. He probably had very experienced people that kind of said, "This is what we're going to have to do." And Trump's a common sense president. That puts
You know
America-
what it is even more than that. What it is even more than that is like Donald Trump. His whole thing was to get the United States. Is to prevent the United States from becoming energy dependent. The reason why we go to war is because we're energy dependent. We're dependent on Saudi Arabia. We got to deal with OPEC. We got to deal with the transfer, buying, and selling of oil. We have to deal with all this, which is why we're constantly going to war. He wanted to actually use the United States reserves. We have a lot of natural resources in America. A lot of people don't know that, but we have a lot of resources. We don't have to go to the Middle East. It's just better to use theirs instead of ours. We just rather use their stuff. It's cheaper that way. Why are we going to dig up? We could do that. When Trump started working on the Keystone pipeline, he started increasing the output of natural gas in the United States. The price of energy was cheap. It was cheap, and we didn't have to go to war. We didn't have to. He wiped these guys out in under 2 months because, in my opinion, the way that it looks like to him is he's like, look, I don't have a vested interest in the Middle East. I don't care about the Middle East. I don't even want to be in the Middle East. Let's just get rid of them. He knows exactly what we got to do. The reason why I believe our previous leaders haven't been able to defeat them because, listen, man, when you go in the military, these guys have technology that'll make your head spin. I find it very hard to believe that we are so technologically advanced, but we can't beat a bunch of people hiding in the middle of the desert. That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense to me. The only reason why you can't beat these people is because we're prolonging the war. It's profitable. That's why. It's very profitable. So this guy doesn't care about that. He knows that there's other ways we can make profit. He knows there's a lot of other ways where we can actually make America great. And we don't have to be at war to do that. We're not making Afghanistan great or Saudi Arabia great or any of these countries that are profiting or ones we're going after. This is not about them. This is about the United States. So he brought them back home. When it came down to taking ISIS, nobody knew that we were going to go and attack ISIS until they were already dead. When we went to go after Soleimani, nobody knew we were going after Soleimani until he was already dead. When people ask, I'm going to go and take out ISIS, how? We're going to wipe them out. How? I'm just going to wipe them out. How? I'm going to wipe them out. Remember that? And I'm like, I don't feel confident in Trump being able to do this. And what did he do? 2 months later, he wiped them out. But because you don't talk about this kind of stuff in the military, you don't talk about what you're going to do. That's why he was able to that's how he was able to get rid of these guys. This guy took down Soleimani, one of their top generals, and several other of their top generals in one shot with a robot. He didn't even send a human. Hillary would have sent humans. She would have sent us to war. This guy sent a robot to take out their top general and several generals with him. They had to rebuild their entire upper chain of command. It crippled their military. So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, this is a guy that gets it. Joe Biden, we're leaving on this date. You don't think the terrorists are doing backflips right now? They're doing backflips right now.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's I don't think that he should have revealed the exit date. That's not gonna work out too.
No, not at all.
Oh man.
Let's talk through some of your solutions with our society and our community, specifically your idea for the Justice Accountability Reporting Officer Bill. I know that's one that you were thinking for if you get into office, you have unique ideas surrounding that. I know when I was first listening to some of your interviews, I was like, did he say Ja Rule bill?
Ja Rule? No, the Ja Rule. So the Ja Rule bill, is a bill that I created, stands for Justice Accountability Reporting Officers Bill. And what this bill actually does, and just to kind of simplify it, what this bill actually does is it puts a lot more of the power into the hands of the people, but it creates a bridge between the police and the people in their communities. So what this actually would do is we have an issue where the people don't have much of a trust with a lot of the police in our society right now. And the reason why I believe that is because there's not enough accountability. The police unions, their jobs are to ensure that the police are well taken care of, that, they're protected, they're getting their pensions, and to make sure the police officers look as good as possible. That's how they continue to maintain their funding, right? So even if something goes wrong, they're going to try and, do what they can to make it better, right? It is what it is. That's just kind of the way it is. I don't want to get rid of these police unions, though, because I understand that these unions, they play a specific purpose. There's a specific reason why they exist. For example, they're helping to protect a lot of these officers from qualified immunity, for example. From removal of qualified immunity, for example. So I understand that these unions, they do play a specific role. However, when something goes wrong within the police departments, the only people that we can count on are the police departments themselves and their investigative units. Here's the issue. Even when the results come out, how do we know if they're true or not? An example, in Paterson, there was someone who passed away about 2-3 years ago. His name was Jameek Lowry. When he passed away, there was a lot of a lot of unknown information in regards to what happened with his death. He showed up to a police department. He's asking for help. The following day, he's in the hospital. His face is swollen shut, and he's dead. And they have no idea what happened to him. The police do their investigation. The investigative report states that the police had no wrongdoing. The police did nothing wrong to him, and there was no real explanation as to why his face was swollen shut and he was dead. That case kind of just closed. Fast forward to 2020, and they're painting Black Lives Matter in the road, but there's still no clarity as to what actually happened to him, right? So now here's the issue. Let's give, and I'm not even saying give him benefit of the doubt as if the police did it, but let's say the police didn't do it, right? Or they did or they didn't, but let's hypothetically say that the police didn't do it. And the police are telling the absolute truth. They had nothing to do with what happened to that guy, right? And the report says that the people still aren't going to believe him, even if it's true. You know, the people aren't going to believe him, and they don't care to actually believe them, because how do we know? You guys did the report, and apparently it was you guys that killed him as well. So what this bill actually does is it creates a new elected class. There's no name for the officer right now, but in this case it would be called the JARO officer, or community justice officer. And what this person would do is similar to how the community elects a sheriff, they would elect a community justice officer. So we would say something like, hey, we want Tara Shapansky to be in charge of this district or of this county as the community justice officer, you know? So she's gonna be the one who we're gonna go to when something happens between the community and the police. When the police are conducting their investigation, she and her team will also be conducting their own civilian investigation as well, too. Now, she's supposed to be working hand in hand with the police departments in this investigation. Now, what happens if Tara gets corrupted? What if she becomes, you know, corrupt and she gets paid off, someone bribes her, someone screws her, or she screws over the community, right? Or what if the police are not cooperating and they're not helping Tara, or they're just trying to obstruct with her investigation as well too? That's where the second layer comes in of the JARO bill, where a national justice officer will get involved. So I'm calling for the Department of Justice to create their own national police department. Now, this police department has no incentive to work, or not no incentive. They are not going to be policing the public or the community. What these national justice officers do is they investigate other police departments. So if something happened in the Paterson Police Department, for example, Tara's trying to do her investigation, she gets corrupted, or she's not getting assistance from the police to actually conduct this investigation, they're hindering her investigation, that is when a community justice officer gets involved. Or when the community has no confidence in the police or the justice officers, then the justice officer will get involved and conduct their own investigation. Their job is just to find the facts and get out. This is not an officer that's from New Jersey, for example. This will be someone from like Wisconsin or Wyoming, or from a completely different state, because these officers, in order for us to have true transparency, we need someone that can police the police without any bias or without any special choosing. All right. If it's someone from within the state, you probably know somebody in the state. That person's probably going to back you up. The guy from Wyoming, he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anybody that's on this force. All he cares about is, I got to find the solution. I got to find the facts. They say this is what's going on. I have no vested interest in protecting any of you guys. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I got to go back home and see my family. All right. So that's what this bill would actually do. Now, to ensure that police officers are doing the right thing, they're going to have a training record similar to like when I was in the military. Everything that I learned, there was a training record where you had to sign off on it. You, a supervisor, and a flight chief had to sign off on this on a specific date, stating that you went through the training, you learned how to do this, you worked on that machine, X, Y, and Z, and you're signed off on it. So from here on out, you should know how to do this properly by yourself. That's essentially what the purpose of this training record was. Because if you mess up later down the line and you do the opposite of what you've been trained to do, there's nothing that the Air Force can do to protect you. The same way there should be nothing that the police unions or the police departments can do to protect them. Listen, we had this training record. This would be a record that's nationally recognized. No matter where you go in the state and you want to be a police officer, you have to have completed this training. Right? If you do something wrong, they can't. There's no way that they can say, "Hey, listen, thin blue line," or any of that stuff that people want to say that the police are doing. There's no way, because remember, the unions, their job is to make the police look as good as possible. It's how they get their funding. It's how they're taken care of. If the police officers choose, if the police chief or the police unions choose to keep that bad officer, it does nothing but harm them, because now the justice officer who's doing their investigation, if they find this chief or these officers or others are covering and protecting for one another, guess who's going down as well too? All the other officers. So here's what happens. The problems that we have going on in our police departments, they can get resolved very, very quickly when these training records are in place. When these training records are in place, we're able to hold our police officers accountable. We're able to ensure that they're doing their jobs effectively. When they're not, we have a way where we can say clear cut, you went in the opposite direction. You went against your training. We can't protect you. You are not the guy. Police departments, police officers should also be incentivized to get better training. For example, if an officer decided to go and get training in jiu-jitsu or MMA, for example, or de-escalation, or went to school to get a psychology degree, or learn negotiation tactics, and all this stuff was done out of pocket, I believe these officers should be compensated for that. Because why would you not want a better police officer, a smarter police officer, a more educated police officer? All right, I think that's something that should be done. As well as this training record, the final thought on this training record, if you want to be a doctor, you can't just go and cut someone's heart without renewing your license, right? If you want to be a hairstylist, you can't put a hot iron in someone's hair without renewing your license. As a police officer, I believe you shouldn't be able to go out on the field without your badge. You shouldn't be able to get your badge without going through your training again. So I believe every year, maybe every 2 years, there should be refresher courses. Everything that you went through in that training, you should be briefly refreshed on. Constitutional comprehension, completely refreshed on. CPR, refreshed on. Gun discipline, refreshed on. De-escalation tactics, refreshed on. Mental health training, how to deal with mental health situations. Training every single year, every 2 years. Officers should have to mandatorily go through these trainings if they want to wear that badge, so that when something does happen, there's nothing that anybody can do to protect these officers, because they should have done it the right way. These officers that are trying to go, that are looking to better themselves as well too, these officers are going to be incentivized as well too. So when you have a system like this in place, within about 10, maybe 8 to 10 years, you've only got 3 options. It's either you're going to do the right thing and you're going to stay a police officer, you're going to quit, or you're going to get caught. That's it. There's no other option. So you give it about 10 years, the situations we got going on right now, they'll clear themselves up. It'll give the people a lot more control of what's going on in their community office. The people will be able to build a much better bridge with the police officers as well too. And we're only going to have nothing but the best police officers. And we're going to incentivize our police officers to be the best police officers they can. That's how we keep our community safe. So that's the Jarro bill in a nutshell.
Yeah, when I was going through your website and I heard you speak about the jail rule bill, I'm like, thank you. This is an actual solution, as opposed to with defunding the police. It's so counterintuitive, because so in my past life, I was an auditor, and in order to improve and is to pump money into training, you're going to get what you pay for. So you have to spend more money to acquire top talent. And so the jail rule, I was like, jail rule? But yeah, what I heard you talk about it on your website, I'm like, this is something that is actually a solution to what's going on in our society. Thank you so much for it.
Everything that like I said, every one of the solutions that I proposed, I want them all to be practical, because I know police reform is something that rubs the unions the wrong way. School choice is something that rubs the unions the wrong way. A lot of these programs really rub them the wrong way. So I want a solution that's amicable for all parties, for the unions, for the people in that specific career, for the community, for society as a whole. If everybody could benefit from it, and it's win-win for all people, and it's fair for all people, I think that's the best and the most practical way to resolve all of our issues. We can't have, because the problem is, a lot of the solutions that we create, they lead to issues where people can't really, they can't really, we make decisions that kind of lock people, from having other alternatives, and when we make a decision, or when we put solutions out, when I say we, I'm talking about traditional politicians. When they come out and they put a solution, it's a solution where one side wins and the other side doesn't. I don't want solutions like that. I want solutions where everybody wins, and that's why I propose a lot of the ideas the way that I do.
I love it, man. I love the Jarro bill. I mean, that's one of the best.
Jarro bill. Now I'm not going to stop thinking about that.
I love it though. No, I mean, that's definitely one of the greatest pieces I've heard of in terms of actual solutions. The reason why you're on the screen right now and I'm not is because I think Tara dropped off due to technical difficulties. I don't know. Did you see she was frozen on screen?
She was. Yeah, I've been having technical difficulties myself, but it's all good. Oh
yeah, she'll play a hot pot in a second. But that's really good stuff, man. I really hope that come 2022, that's when you're running, right? 2022 for the midterms?
Yeah.
I'm hoping so much that we get a red wave. Now, I don't know if you know, but we had Darius Mayfield on earlier in the week. So we've been running That's right. And then I think your girl Jasmine Gray is also going to be on our show at some point.
Yeah, she's running for council.
That's right. So we want to put her on and give her a platform too. So if you know anybody that's a Republican that's running anywhere in the country, New Jersey, we are more than happy to sit with them and give them our little platform to talk about it. Because the one thing that we need in 2022 is a red wave, because that is going to set us up in a big way for 2024. And,
Absolutely, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I wanted Tara to come on. We're trying to end our shows on a funny note moving forward by kind of asking our guests a completely random question.
Okay.
But I'm gonna ask it now. We're gonna do the first random question: ketchup or mustard, and why? I want a very detailed response.
Ketchup and
Or
what?
mustard. What do you prefer, ketchup or mustard?
I like them both, honestly. I like them both. I like to have them both at the same time.
Nice.
So I like them both. I don't discriminate.
I got another round question for you. Do you believe in cryptocurrency?
Yes. I absolutely do believe in cryptocurrency. I'm invested in several cryptocurrencies. I made the very bad mistake of not. I hate telling the story, but I made the very bad mistake of not listening to my friend back in 2011 when I came out of the Air Force. He's the one who told me about Bitcoin. At that time, Bitcoin was used by only criminals, man, and like drug dealers, hitmen. Yep. Real people weren't using Bitcoin at that time. At that time, it was $1.25, and he gave me $250 worth of Bitcoin, and he told me to just hang on to it. He went to jail, and he told me, do not sell this. Like, just keep it there, keep it there. I didn't listen to him. I ended up selling it, and yeah, today that would be worth about like 60.
How many coins did you have? How many coins did you have?
It was about 250 or so coins. Hang on.
Oh my God! You know what though? Don't blame yourself. There's so many people that lost out so much. So, by the way, Tara's house Wi-Fi just went down, so I don't think she's gonna be able to come on. Awesome. Yeah, I don't think she's gonna be able to come back on, but I guess I'll close out the show, the T&A Show. Thank you so much, Billy, for joining us. I know the audience loved you. They want you to go on other podcasts. They want you to keep growing your platform. And I know a lot of people here, they would vote for you if they could in the New Jersey district. So
awesome. So for all the people that are listening in right now, if you'd like me to be on other platforms, that's actually the best way that you can help the campaign. You can make a donation at billyprempeh.com. If you can't make a donation, the next best thing you can do is spread the word. Like, you have no idea how much it helps me when you tell others, you tell other influencers, you help me get on other platforms, you help me spread the message. That's the best way that you can actually help the campaign out. So if you want to see me on other platforms, reach out to them. Tell them, hey, listen, you need to reach out to Billy Prempeh. You got to get him on your show. If any of you guys want my contact details, it's on my website, billyprempeh.com. You go to contact, the phone number is on there. I do pick up the phone, but be mindful, because everybody's calling the phone number. So if you guys have any questions or something you don't have any clarity on, you can reach out to me. I will speak with you, because I'm not just representing the 9th District. I'm not just representing New Jersey. I'm representing the United States of America. I'm going into a federal office. I'm going to a federal position, and I'm not just doing this for my community. I'm doing this for the country as a whole. So I'll take answers from anybody. I'll take phone calls from anybody. You have any issues, any concerns, would you want to donate, you want to volunteer, you want to share information, anything like that, reach out to us. The phone number is on the website, 973-851-1657.
Awesome. And yeah, if you guys like the video, share this video with one friend, and that is going to help get the word out for Billy, for America, and of course the country. So
absolutely. And if you want to find me on social media, you can either just type Billy Prempeh or some guy named Bill, and you'll find me.
Awesome. Very cool, man. All right, Bill, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Brother, God bless you, man. Thanks for having me on. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Tara, sorry about your internet. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
happens to the best of us.
Exactly.
Take care,
All right, Bill.
God bless.
Take care, man.